Hi, everybody, and welcome to SIP. I have a couple of items for you today. Um, one, there are archives to the Zoom meetings that are on the platform, but I got to tell you, when you come to a Zoom meeting, it's wide open, and we discuss everything from PR, public relations, into the meaning of life. So it is a much more lively experience than what you might have had before. And you should know that, particularly if you attended any of my sessions in new media marketing. So let me just kind of dive in real quick and let you know what this month is about. In order to get started in public relations, you really have to have a grounding in the world around you. And you have to understand how the public relations function works. Public relations deals not with target markets, although our target market is part of the greater audience. We deal with audiences. And so we deal with the audiences of the organization, and that relationship is a symbiotic relationship. In other words, when we talk to the audience, we expect to listen to the audience as well, and we intend to, in some instances, respond. We deal with stakeholders in addition to audiences. A stakeholder is somebody that's in the audience that can be affected directly by the action that the organization takes, or somebody in the audience that can take an action that will affect the organization. That's how we look at a stakeholder. Don't confuse stakeholders with stockholders. A stockholder can be, a stakeholder rather, can be a stockholder, but not vice versa. So this week, we ask you in a discussion to really take a look at ethics, values, morals, and worldviews. And I'm going to ask you, particularly in the environment that we're sitting in today, to take a look and understand what postmodernism is and critical theory and how it applies to organizations. We have a almost across the board, organization after organization, changing their type of marketing that they're involved in, and actually adapting cause marketing. And you really need to understand worldviews in order to understand how we got to that point. So I would ask you, and I'll allow you to draw your own conclusions, because there's no right, there's no wrong in this, but you do need to understand the world that we live in, and the worldview that is being used by many organizations and many individuals to explain that world, and that is postmodernism or critical theory. Personally, I'm not a postmodernist, I'm a modernist. But it's important for you to understand where we all stand, and then be able to explain that, and to be able to guide, coach, and counsel your business to navigate those waters, because they can be tricky. You know, I go back to the roots of public relations, particularly as it relates to crisis management. And the defining moment in modern public relations history can really be brought back to the 80s, when Johnson & Johnson, the makers of Tylenol and Advil, suffered a significant crisis. Somebody was opening their bottles in supermarkets and putting cyanide inside their pills, their capsules. Now, why is that bad? Well, cyanide kills. It kills extremely efficiently and very quickly. Take a pill laced with cyanide. It's what in the spy movies, they tell the spy, if you're captured, you've got a capsule right here, take it. On the inside of their lapel was pinned a cyanide capsule, because it kills very fast. So back in the 80s, crises, organizational public relations crises, were defined by the fact that people were dying. Today, in many instances, our crises are determined not by people dying, although there is a very significant exception to that. But for the most part, crises are about people's feelings being hurt. And that's something pretty important to understand. How do organizations navigate the waters of modern society without hurting people's feelings? And the answer is you have to understand the worldview that is predominant at this point in time, and that is postmodernism, critical theory. Got to look up both and take a look at both. I'm not going to give you the information. I want you to go find it. And why do I want you to do that? Well, because again, what I told you back in New Media Marketing, by the way, I'm so glad you're back, is that master's program, we don't give you A, B, C, D, and force feed it to you. No, you're developing a master's mindset, and a master's mindset is an ability to go out and explore a topic and research it and get all the information that's needed over a relatively short period of time in order to be a master of that material. So although I've given you a lot to look at, you've got the Zimbardo prison experiments. You've got other information that you can take a look at with regard to ethics, morals, and values. But please go do additional research and think about how postmodernism and critical theory impact what we see today in the workplace. Okay, so the second part of week one is where you're actually developing a presentation. You've got 6 minutes to develop it. And I give you a buffer where you're in a warning, Will Robinson, danger. It's Lost in Space if you're a 60s TV fan. The robot. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. At any rate, the critical thing with what we're going to do in week one is you're going to do a presentation, and it's 6 minutes. You got a 30-second buffer, but you're in the danger zone then. In this 6 minutes, divided equally, 3 minutes and 15 seconds for the buffer zone and 3 minutes and 15 seconds for the buffer zone. And in the first half, you're going to explain the strategic context of your organization. What do I mean? Well, you're going to tell us, why does your organization exist today, for whom and to what extent? That's the mission statement. You're going to tell us what the vision for the company is. You're going to tell us what the culture and the values for the company are. You're going to also tell us if they're working on any major critical success factors or projects that is moving the company in a new strategic direction. That's the critical success factors component of strategy. We also want you to situate the company, do a SWOT analysis or a PESTLE analysis or both. What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the business? Who are its competitors? All that information is critical. What about the industry that it sits in? So understand the political, the environmental, the societal, the technological, the legal, and the economic environment that the organization sits in. That's the PESTLE model. So, and then tell us who the stakeholders are. Define the stakeholders and do a good job with this, because it's important for PR people to really understand and complete stakeholder analyses. All right, that's part one. Now, part two is easier and more complicated all in the same breath. It's incredibly important that you become researchers, but you're going to be, instead of doing external research, you're going to be doing monitoring. And we call this a very special form of research. We call it business or market intelligence. So in the instructions, I make some suggestions with regard to Feedly and NetVibes, and there's a number of other tools out there that you can use for monitoring, brand monitoring. And you want to set up a semi-automated system that will monitor your organization, your brand within the larger business environment. So you want to understand what's going on with your industry. You want to monitor competitors. And I give you a hierarchy of folders that you can set up. So again, why are we doing this? Well, we want to do it so that we know what's happening. We might be able to avoid a potential crisis. But the reality is, get this set up early in the week and then go in and monitor it several times during the week and look for information. Because I talk about you need to report on things that you learn from your system. I don't want you to tell me that you learn that you're not, your organization is not making social media posts. I'm not interested in that kind of information. That's operational information that you can find out without monitoring the marketplace. I'm looking for three types of pieces of knowledge. I'm looking for information that your brand could use to avoid a crisis. So information related to crisis mitigation is very important. Now, something else that we want to do from a public relations perspective to our audiences, we always want to be communicating and we want to be sharing information. Well, if the organization and the people in the PR department, or even the marketing department for that matter, are always having to create new content, it's exhausting. But it's much easier to repurpose other people's content and use it to demonstrate your expertise in your knowledge or product domains. So we monitor so that we can see what our competitors are talking about, what the industry is talking about, and which of those we can curate and put our own special spin to it and put it back out there. So that's the second item that you're looking for, which is information that will help you as it relates to curating content for your audiences. Oh, I just had a weird button pop. All of a sudden it wanted to cancel the meeting. Okay, and then the third item that you want to work on, that you want to use your monitoring system, again, looking at your competition and the industry, what can you come up with in terms of new ideas? We're going to get into week 2, the concept of a newsworthy item. In public relations, we create and share, which means we distribute through various channels. We share newsworthy content. Why do we share newsworthy content? Because we want other people to share it. Why do we want other people to share it? Because if other people share it, then it has something associated to it that, if you remember back from new media marketing, that we call social proof. It has more value than if we just tell people ourselves. I have a cousin who, as her kids were growing up, one of the things she tried to do was always associate one of her, she has 4 kids, with another adult, kind of like a guardian angel. And what was the purpose of that other person? Oftentimes it was to share the same information that she was sharing with her kids, but because it was coming from somebody else that wasn't one of the kids' parents, it had a much higher value. That's what we call parental proof. We're looking for something similar in the marketplace, and that's social proof. We want somebody else to share what we would normally say or pay through advertising to have said, because we want it to have the higher value associated with social proof. So what do? We create newsworthy content that legacy and new media outlets will carry. Now, newsworthy content can be of 2 forms. We'll get into this in much greater detail in week 2. We are looking to share either Um, we're looking to share either real events or what historian Daniel Borston calls pseudo events. Pseudo events are items that we manipulate and we create. I'll give you a great example. We're in the middle of an election year. You're seeing polls all over the place. Once upon a time, people used polls to figure out what George Gallup used to do a regular poll when he was starting out on what people thought. And so that was kind of news. Some newspapers would carry it. But today, polls are designed not to confirm what people are thinking, but to form what people are thinking. Polling today is a form of a pseudo event. Nobody would really care, particularly right now. We're how many months before an election? Polls mean absolutely nothing. But why do they do them? They do them because they can manipulate the outcome. And I used to teach statistics, so if you're interested in how to do it, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. They manipulate the outcome of the poll in order to form people's opinions. And then the news is, the newsworthy item, we did a poll. As a result of this poll, we found, oh my God, this was all foregone conclusion. That's what's known as a pseudo event. And we are surrounded by pseudo events because we are in a 24/7 news cycle where legacy media outlets and new media outlets are exponentially greater than any time in our history. And so there's all this news that needs to be filled. But there's still a right way and a wrong way. And if you do it the wrong way, nobody will pay attention. You got to do it the right way. And that's what we're going to talk about in this class. So week 2, you're actually going to be creating a press release. And that press release will be based off of either a real or a pseudo event. Week 3, you're going to talk about how you distribute that event. And then week 4, either individually or as part of a group, you're going to work on a crisis project where you're going to have to step in as a public relations consultant or member of the brand's public relations team, and you're going to have to share with us a case study. So what is a case study? Well, a case study is a problem, a business problem. And again, not all the information that you need is presented in the case study. In this case, you're actually building the case study because you're going to pick an event. Now, it doesn't have to be related to your brand that you've been doing all your other case studies with. Go find a public relations crisis that seems interesting to you, and then we'll do the research that way. And that's in week 4. And again, you can do it either as an individual or as a team. I will talk more about the group project in next week's Zoom session. So that covers week 1 and the rest of the month in a nutshell. If you got any questions, you know my phone number, 407-267-8600. Don't rely on the system. Don't rely on FSO to get you a speedy response. If you need something from me, if you want to tell me that you're going to miss a deadline or anything like that, text me. More likely, I'll call you back, or I'll send you a text back. But text me. Let me know what's going on when you need me. Don't let it just sit in FSO. The reason being, I get hundreds of emails a day because I'm always signing up for different marketing training, different products. I'm looking at different types of lead generation systems that various businesses have. Consequently, no matter how much I filter, my inbox is always out of control. So don't rely on the full sale system, because what will happen is I have it set up that it sends me an email and I can get that email on my phone. But I can never really see 100% what the issue is unless I get onto the platform and open up on the platform and see what you originally sent. And sometimes I don't realize that you're really asking for something because I have it set up, the platform is set up so that if you sneeze, I get notification. So if you really need me, 407-267-8600. Okay? Lastly, 6 minutes on week 1 with a 30-second buffer. 30 and 15, 30 and 15. Okay? 3 things that you've learned. It could be something that you learned to prevent a crisis. It could be something that you archive to share with your people. Or 3, a brilliant idea that you want to modify and turn into your own, so that you can will have an event or a pseudo event that you can share with your audiences. Another word for audiences is publics. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you right now. If you need more, check the archives. Take a look. I think I have 2 episodes of week 1 up there. I'm just going to put this one in the discussion forum. But look, I've got archives. So if you got questions, take a look at them first. Give me good, healthy responses on the discussion. You need 1 response to the prompt and then 2 interactions with your peers. I do not want your opinion, right? I want your informed opinion through research. So share put the citation in and then put the reference. I'm not worried about APA formatting in a discussion, but I do want you to document, because again, I don't want just your opinion. I can get that on Facebook. What I want is an informed opinion through research. Do all that and you'll see perfect scores on your discussions all month long. All right. Dr. John, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.